Fenland Fisherman, and welcome to another fishing video. Hello and welcome to another video, today in association with Carp Talk magazines. You join me back here today on the syndicate water after carp. Now, I had so much fun last time whilst bream fishing, playing the carping on my light specimen rods. I thought, you know what, I'll come back here again, and I've just brought my light rods with me. You know, I figured if these rods can handle 32-pound fish, one of the biggest fish in the lake, I'm pretty sure they can handle most of the carp in here. So I've just come down here, quick night session, got the rods out, put a bit of bait out. Let's see if we can catch a few fish. Well, I'm back on the syndicate again for a short 24-hour session. It's the second week of my Easter holidays now, so I thought I'd come back on the syndicate to see how I could do really. I've gone back to fishing same side of the lake I always used to fish, which is somewhere I personally feel quite confident with, due to, you know, that's where I always used to fish and that's where I always used to catch the fish. However, with fishing on the southern end recently, you know, it's made me think maybe the fish are at the southern end rather than northern end, because well, I used to catch down there. I never used to actually do that well. I think perhaps maybe down the southern end might be the way to go, but you know, it's not a terribly big lake, and I think that's what you have to realise sometimes, is that although location is everything, sometimes, you know, in the warmer weather when the fish are moving more, you can get a bit obsessed with location and, you know, where am I going to fish? Like me at the moment, I'm thinking I'm at the northerly end, but should I be at the southerly end? It's not a terribly big lake, fish should be moving, so hopefully it shouldn't really matter where. But you just don't know. I mean, as you'll know, fish can be really temperamental sometimes, and slight changes in weather can really affect their feeding. Yeah, we haven't had exactly the most stable weather today, or at the moment anyway, really. I mean, at the moment we've had rain followed by bright sunshine followed by rain, which isn't really ideal in my mind, although it's nice to have some really low pressure coming in at the moment, which is what we want. The weather itself doesn't seem ideal, as well as the temperatures, but they're creeping up again to about 13, 14 during the day, 6, 7 during the night, which is really what I want. That's perfect, sort of not huge fluctuations, but warm weather consistently is what I want for my carp fishing. A lot of people don't really look at weather at all as, you know, a factor, but I think you've really got to look at everything. You know, if you can find just at least one thing that's going to help you catch those fish, take it. I mean, you can't have too much help really, can you, when you're fishing, if it means you're going to get saved from that blank. But even if I do blank, you know, it's been already quite a nice day. I've seen a few fish move, just seen a fish roll for the first time over the top of my spot. You know, you learn new things, you use new rigs, you're changing things, and that's what fishing's all about. And that's why I don't really mind blanks so much, because they help me with that. They help me to change my rigs, my tactics, and what I do for the next session. All helps me in the long run. That's how you got to look at it really. And also, you're here to enjoy yourself. If you catch a fish, it's got to be a bonus, hasn't it? It's not all about the fish. But here for one night. It's just coming into evening now. Cast both rods. I'm going to recast a left-hand rod because I just cast at a rolling fish. So, you know, that isn't on the baited spot, but that is at a fish. So I'm going to leave it there for a little while longer, then recast it later on onto the baited spot. But the right-hand rod, that's sound. That's where I want it. That's in the margin. I've baited it up there with boilie and pellet. I'm just going to wait now for the fish to hopefully move on during the night. You never know, you might be woken up by a screaming run. But both rods out, fingers crossed. Right, get a final cup of tea. I think it should be getting dark then. So a quick look at the PVA bag mix I'm using. All I've got is some crushed up trout pellets. They're the 4mm trout pellets I've got from Vision. Really good. That is really oily as well, so good quality. I've also got some crunched up liver and garlic boilie, which is what I'm using as my hook bait, so it makes sense to put a little bit of your hook bait sample in there. Haven't got that much of that in there, but just got enough just so they get on it. Just to top it off, I've put in some whole betaine pellets, some of the little 3mm betaine pellets from Vision, and I've also put in a lot of the crushed betaine pellet. Real fan of that betaine. I've seen the fish feeding on it, so I know they're on it, and I know it's a really good bait to get on. Then I'm just going to be throwing a few whole boilies on top of that, just a few liver and garlic. So literally all it is, bag full of the stick mix, and then just putting your bait on top, scattering a few more of the whole boilies around it, just to get them on it. And I also, when I do scatter the baits, I scatter them not just in a tight area, I scatter them quite liberally, you know, sort of almost a metre distance between the baits. That's so the fish get moving between bait to bait, so when they pick up your rig they naturally move and then hook themselves, you know, against the lead, against the weight of the lead. So, like I keep saying, very, very simple and quite effective as well. Also, what I forgot to mention out is now I've also got some of the crushed up carp candy, pineapple and butyric pop-ups. Use that in the winter quite a lot in here, where I crushed up a few of the pop-ups, put them in the mix, and that really worked well. I'm sure that's what caught me, you know, some of the fish. So still using that now, although it's mainly a winter technique or tactic for me. I think why not use it in the summer and the spring as well? You know, if it worked then, why wouldn't it work now? So I'm just doing whatever I can to get me a bite, and I suppose that's what you've got to do. I mean, you've got to put out all the stops, you know, when it's fishing hard like it is at the moment. But that's it really, that's my PVA bag mix. Real simple stuff, and hopefully that'll catch me a few fish. For the rigs on both rods, I'm just using a 5-inch length of the Gardener Trickster Heavy. I've just got that in the Camo Brown 20-pound variety. For my hook, I'm using a size 10 Garden Mugger with a small covert rig ring just running up along it. You'll see there that I've tied on the hook link to the rig ring, and that just allows for a little bit of movement of the bait. I've just tied on that hook with a KD style knot, so that kicks that hook really nicely. Bait wise, on this rod I'm using a single liver and garlic hook bait with a little bit of fake corn, just to give that a little bit of buoyancy and extra attraction. And just down to that I'm going to thread a PVA bag full of the Vision Baits crushed trout pellets and betaine pellets. And there you go, there's the finished rig. Well, it's morning now, and although I had that run last night, I didn't manage to land the fish. Ripped off 100 mile an hour, woke up in a bit of a daze, ran down to the rod as you do, hit it, you know, while the line was still peeling off the clutch, and as soon as I picked up that rod, felt absolutely nothing, and it just skimmed in and recast. No sooner as I'd recast, the rod went off again. I thought, yes, finally I'm into a fish. Ran down and bloody duck had picked up the line next to the rod in the margin. Got a tangle around its feet, and he was swimming about, so pulling line off the clutch and sounding the alarm. So I had to bring that in and tangle the duck. So I had to pull all that in, and once I'd done that I had to cut the rig off all the line, discard the line, put it in the bin behind me, tie the new rig on again to the line that was left on my reel and cast it out. So I've got barely any line left on my spool now because I'm only using little reels. I was casting quite a way away, so barely any line left. Probably got to re-spool it now when I get home. And bite time in it at the moment is between 12 and 1. That duck incident occurred at 12:30, so of course that completely ruined my marginal swim to the left and ruined my chances of catching anything on the right hand rod, because I had to pull it in and re-tackle it, which took a good half an hour or so in the middle of the night. And of course recasting it, you don't know if you're dead accurate or not on the bait spot. I didn't clip up because I didn't think I'd need to, so that could have gone anywhere, and clearly I wasn't on it because I didn't have any more fish. So yeah, eventful night to say the least. But not eventful in the way we probably would have liked it to be. Gutted about losing a fish on that run, but to be honest with you, I haven't even had a run here for the last couple of sessions, so anything's welcome. I think my rigs are bang on. Don't think it's the rig's fault, because obviously that fish took off like 100 miles an hour, so the rig was doing its job perfectly, so I know the rigs are good. I think the problem is I was only using 1.5 ounce lead. I'm using such light rods and I'm casting that rod quite away. I don't want to be using a heavier lead than that. And I think because I was using such a light lead, I think the fish, didn't hook properly. The rig did its job, hook turned, got its mouth, that's why it spooked and went off. But I don't think that lead was quite heavy enough to set the hook like it should have done. So next time I'm going to bring back my heavier rods, larger reels, everything, so I can use my 3 ounce leads again, which is what I want to be using in here to hopefully hook those fish. I'm after one fish now. Once I have that fish, I'm going to be trying some tent fishing, bream fishing, but I want that one fish. And I think to do that I'm going to get a bit heavier. I don't really want to because I quite enjoy using these light rods, but I think I'm going to have to. But anyway, that's what happened last night. Like I said, eventful, but not in the way we would have liked it to be. May still upload this because I don't very often upload blanks, but I think it's important to show you that you don't always catch fish. And although you may have thought I would have caught a fish last night off that run, it doesn't always work that way, does it? Anyway, got another couple of hours left. It's morning now. Let's see if we can catch a few fish. Well, hello. I'm yet again back down the lake in search of some of its carp. Just down the syndicate again. Must be third or fourth session now. I haven't filmed all of them, but third or fourth session. Probably going to be the last one for a long time because of exams and revision. But I'm down here, only one on the lake so far tonight. Just a quick night session, be going in the morning, and already I've seen a fair few fish roll in front of me. They've stopped rolling now, saying that, but haven't seen them roll during the day, well this time of day, for a long time down here, so that's only got to be a good thing, hasn't it? Although they could be up off the bottom and not feeding, so I say it's got to be a good thing, but probably isn't, no, my luck. Anyway, rods are out now. I'm just going to put a bit more bait around the right hand rod in a minute with the spoon, and kettle's on now for dinner. Right, let's see if we can get a few fish, eh? Fourth time lucky. Well, I've got one on and it's really going, as you can hear. So glad to have one on eventually. Right hand rod, liver and garlic, little citrus fizz pop up on top. Single bait, no baits around it as of yet. And it's just gone off. Doesn't feel like a big fish, just plodding about out there at the moment. Just hope this stays on. I'm shaking. I'm actually shaking, that's ridiculous. Come on fish, don't. No real run, just a little up of the bobbin, just putting my dongles in the alarms, my little Gardner dongles that I use as my receiver. And I just saw the bobbin lifting really slowly, so I hit it. It was a drop back bite actually, and I'm fishing flat lines, you don't really see that sort of stuff, and wound down to the fish and I felt a solid resistance. That's what you want, innit? Brilliant. Those mugger hooks doing the business. Brilliant stuff. A little mirror. get the net under him. Yes, got him. Well, at last, after so many blank sessions down here, I've finally got one. It's not a very big fish, only a small one, 16 pounds, but you know what, I couldn't care less about the size. It's a fish, and that's all that matters. Just taking on the middle rod, just get this net away from underneath her. There we go. A little bit lively, came in quite quickly actually. As I said on the video, it didn't give much of a run, so it hadn't torn off with the bait. But yeah, 16 pounds. Let's get her up fish, shall we? Oh, she's, like I said, she's quite lively, so it might be a bit tricky, but there we go, lovely fish. A bit longer than most of the fish in here for the size. Mint condition. Lovely looking fish as well. Whoa, whoa, don't do that. Come on, just a little picture and put you back. Yeah, mint condition. But it's already got some width across those shoulders there. I don't know if you can see that. But really, real nice little chunk. Fought well in the margins and great fun. Just so glad I've broken that blanking. I don't care how big it is. What a cracker. First fish of the day. Let's hope there's a few more to follow, eh? Let's put her back. Right, let's put her back. I've already given her some time in the mat. Going to turn her up the right way now. Let her swim off when she feels she wants to, which is now. Off she goes. Brilliant stuff. Got a fish. Well, as you just saw, I just had that small 16 pounder. And that is a small fish for here really, but you know what, as I just said, I really don't care about the size. I mean, that fish has taken me 3 or 4 sessions just to get one fish out of here, and that one fish to me means just as much as that 30 pounder I had the other day. And a lot of people would find that odd, how something that much smaller or whatever can mean as much as say your PB, which is over 30 pounds. But the reason for that means so much just because I've tried so hard for it, and that really emphasises a point I always make about blanking. Blanking, yeah, it's awful at the time, but you know, when you think about it, it's a really good thing. You know, you've come away from the session and you always learn new things after blanking. Well, I do anyway. You always learn, oh wait, I should try this differently, I should do that. I mean, this session I'll come back down with my heavier rods so I can cast out larger leads. And because I felt I lost a fish last session due to having a lighter lead. The fish hooked itself, but that lead didn't pull the hook into the fish's mouth, which is what it needed, you know, for it to stay on. So I thought, come back, heavy rods, heavy leads, rigs just as brilliant as they were before, but the heavier lead has allowed me to hook those fish. Now the fish are getting more finicky in here. They know what a rig is, so they can quite easily get rid of it, and I'm sure I've been done probably 100 times or so over the last few sessions that I've been here, because you know the fish are definitely on the spots, but you know you're not getting them. So they're cleverer than you think on these pressured waters. But as I said, means a lot to me, that fish, because it just shows, you know, I can catch a carp and that perseverance most certainly paid off. And you know, if I don't catch anything else this session, so be it. It really doesn't bother me. I'm on a high now from that fish, and that's brilliant. Just made myself a cup of coffee. Unfortunately, when that run went off and I had that fish, I was just making myself my dinner, so that was a little bit cold when I got back to it, but you know, it really doesn't matter, does it? But it's quite interesting that when I arrived here, the fish were rolling on the far end of the wind, and that's, only my second fish I've had out of here where there's been a northerly wind. I've only ever had one before that. But there's been a northerly wind and the fish have been cracking right on the far end of it, on the far margin. So cast the rod out there, small PVA bag just full of crushed trout pellets and crushed betaine pellets and vision. Wrapped it out there, liver and garlic bottom bait tip with a cut down citrus fizz pop up. Put that out there, I know 3 hours later, so it's quite a wait, and it went off. Just really happy. But night's coming in now, so you never know, we might just get another one. But if not, that's all good. So I'm going to sit here, drink my coffee, and watch the night roll in. Well, it really has come to the end of the session now and the end of the video. At last, after 3 or 4 sessions down here, I finally got my fish. And you know, it used to be that one fish, especially 16 pounds in a night down here, pretty bad going. But the way it has been recently and how hard it's been, that's a pretty good result really. Just so happy to have had that fish. And you know, I'm not going to be down here again for quite a few more weeks or months even, because of exams. So it's nice to end on a high, isn't it, rather than another blank. But that's brilliant. It's nice to see that the changes I implemented because of my blanks have worked and paid off. You know, the heavier leads, different rids, etc, etc. And it's nice to know that the good old vision baits are still working. I was getting a little bit worried about liver and garlic, thinking the fish had wised up to it, but clearly not. They just probably weren't feeding properly. Still don't think they're really feeding, but I think give it a few more weeks and they'll be on it, definitely. Another thing is, last week we had all that rain. It's a ridiculous amount of rain. I mean, we're meant to be in drought round here, and you certainly wouldn't have known it last week. I mean, we still are in drought, obviously, because although there was a lot of rain, it doesn't really scratch the surface. It does help, but we're going to need more than that. But yeah, the lake's up a good, you know, a good foot or so, really. And it's really nice to see, and I'm wondering whether it's that got the fish on the feed, this extra water. I've just got the thermometer in the water now. I did it yesterday evening, and the water temperature is still 12 degrees, so the extra water clearly hasn't affected the temperature too much. But I'm just going to get the thermometer out now and I'm going to have a look at the temperature. But I think it'll probably be about 12 degrees again. So despite the extra water going in here, it hasn't affected the temperature too much, which will then make you think that probably is extra water that's got those fish feeding. Either way, they certainly were feeding last night, and I'm glad we have one. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time, and tight lines.